Hey, how's it going, everyone? What is up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tootin, and welcome to a little bit of controversy. Now, before we get into it, I want to thank Mr. Todd Garner with everything in me. Thank you so much for commenting on this situation, for taking my interview request and talking to me about everything that went on. I'll explain everything that went on to everyone else in the video, but I wanted to thank Mr. Garner again for his comments on this situation. So if you guys have not heard about the debacle surrounding the Mortal Kombat movie, which is coming up on April 16th on HBO Max, there was an interview that Mr. Garner did with Inverse, and the interview was a pretty normal thing, right? Well, Mr. Garner was asked about Johnny Cage and his appearance in the movie, and this is where things kind of go sideways. Not sideways because of anything Mr. Garner said, but because of the context that it was, blown out of. So here is the official comment from Mr. Garner in this interview. He said, "I feel like if I was getting to make a movie with a diverse cast, it felt weird to have a white actor, literally Johnny Cage, be the hero of the story." Not too bad, right? I mean, that's not that bad to me. He obviously, I'll get into all my unbiased opinions because I have a lot to say about this because this is frankly ridiculous to me. But anyway, I reached out to reached. I think that's the word. I reached out to Mr. Garner through his company, through his website, and I got in contact with him on Twitter. Now, this interview is not particularly long or anything else, but after this interview that he did, this one little comment that he made about where he wanted the story of this movie to be at first, he got tons of backlash. I mean, you go on Twitter, you type in Todd Garner, everybody's calling him a racist. People are going from calling him racist because of these comments to calling him sexist, and that is ridiculous to me. So, this interview that I did with Mr. Garner wasn't very long, right? I wanted to get his official comment on this situation to tell his side of the story and, to set the story straight. So I said, "Hey, Mr. Garner, my name is Arthur. That is my name, ladies and gentlemen who were watching this video. I was told in an email response to my interview request to message you on here. I absolutely love to tell your side of the story and set this all straight." And he says, "Hello, thank you. It is really very simple. JC is a massive character and really deserves his story to be told in the right way. It just felt really wrong with so many stories to tell to lead with his story in the franchise. He is set up for the sequel and we have big plans for him. The race part of it has taken on a life of its own, but there are very good reasons we chose the story we told, which will be seen in the movie. That had nothing to do with race at all. And I also said if you cast a movie star for JC, then it becomes that star's movie rather than an MK movie." And I responded to this, and I'm horrible at interviewing, so I took like 20 minutes to respond. I said, "I appreciate your comment on this. Going into this movie, knowing how big of a character Johnny is in the MK universe, and how much he means to fans, was this always what the plan was, to have Johnny set up for the sequel? Rumors have been circulating, as they do, that Johnny was intended for the original script to play a major role. Scripts change, plans change, obviously, but people are drawing this back to race. The main rumor is that Johnny basically had his story replaced by Cole for racial reasons." And Mr. Garner responded with, "Johnny Cage is amazing and will get his due, I promise. There's no world where he is being cancelled." I said, "That is great to hear, and I greatly appreciate your comments on this situation." And he said, "Thank you. Know that I love this franchise, and I want to do what's best for it. And I understand that JC is a fan favorite, and they are upset. I get it." See, but here's the thing. And here's where we get into my personal opinions. Thank you so much again, Mr. Garner, for the comments on this situation. I feel like this was blown way out of context, right? Obviously, the man has said right here in this interview, hell, he basically said it in the interview with Inverse, that Johnny Cage would take up, center stage in the movie. I don't know if you guys remember back, a lot of these people who are straight up bullying this man on Twitter, bullying this man on every form of social media, calling him a sexist, a rapist, and a racist. A lot of these people on there claim to be true Mortal Kombat fans. Well, if you're a true Mortal Kombat fan, then you know that Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 story, which this movie seems to be following, had basically nothing to do with Johnny Cage whatsoever. Yes, Johnny Cage was there. Yes, Johnny Cage was the first ever Mortal Kombat character created due to Mortal Kombat basically spawning from a failed project with Johnny Jean-Claude Van Damme. Does that make Johnny Cage the center of the story? Hell no, it does not, because the first two stories followed Liu Kang. They followed Raiden and his quest to save Earthrealm with his champions, which yes, Johnny was one of, but Liu Kang was the front and center of those stories. Johnny Cage did not really become a main character until later on in the franchise. I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, and I know Johnny played a pretty big role in some of the games, but the last game that I remember where Johnny Cage took like front and center big time role was MKX. That was the game where his story was completely told, and he got to be the main hero of the story. But back in those old games, it was about Liu Kang. If you go and read the story, the written script story, it followed Liu Kang. He was the champion of Earthrealm. He is the one who saved Earth. So to say that because Johnny Cage is not in this movie because he is white, I feel like that's blown way too much out of context. And I do understand what Mr. Garner is saying. He's saying that Johnny Cage, this, in this Asian martial arts movie where it is revolving around Asian culture, and the only other people who are in this tournament that is in Asian culture are there because they are special forces. Kano, I guess that's yet to be explained, but Jax and Sonya, they are there because they're special forces. This is centered around Asian culture. Hell, it looks to be taking place in more than likely Japan or somewhere. They're probably going to end up in New York because most big movies somehow always end up in New York or something like that. But it does seem to revolve mostly around Asian culture. So to have your movie revolve around Asian culture and then throwing a character in who you would not be doing justice to, being Johnny Cage, and kind of screwing all of that, the whole setup for the movie, the whole story surrounding the movie that, the movie is following from the original games, it is off-putting. That would be off-putting to me. Johnny Cage has never really been the main character of Mortal Kombat. It's been Liu Kang. It's been Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Characters like that. Shang Tsung being the bad guy. Shao Kahn being the bad guy. It's never been about Johnny Cage or Mileena or any of those other characters. It's always been about mainly Liu Kang, and that is the story that this movie seems to be following. Johnny Cage is a very big character. We all love Johnny Cage. Everybody knows who Johnny Cage is. Everybody knows that he was the first Mortal Kombat character. But the fact that the story for this character is to be saved for the next movie, the setup for him to shine, and this man is still being called a racist, is kind of beyond sense to me. Like, it blows my mind. You can tell that the people working on this movie, you can tell that Mr. Garner, you can tell that everybody else who was on this movie, the actors, the writer, the director, they give a damn about Mortal Kombat. And it feels like at this point, everybody is trying everything to rip this down and tear this movie down. This movie looks great. The people behind this movie actually give a damn, which is entirely new to most video game movie adaptations. That's unheard of at this point. Mr. Garner has had his works taken out of context, and I don't believe it's fair. We live in a world where Twitter is the judge, jury, and executioner of everyone. If you say one wrong word, if you say anything that is anywhere close to having anything to do with skin color, you're racist, and that's not fair. It's very easy to see that this movie is revolving around Asian culture. They're going as hard as they can into keeping this movie grounded in reality and going to the roots of what Mortal Kombat originally started and stood for. The original roots behind the whole idea of Mortal Kombat. And I mean, that goes back to the shit that John Tobias wrote for Mortal Kombat. I mean, there's really no getting around that, and I think it's something that, we should be happy with, that these people actually care enough to do the movie justice by following the story accurately, and I don't think we should be calling them racist and sexist on Twitter. That is unfair, and that is completely blowing everything that was said by him out of context. I don't feel like this is fair whatsoever, and I feel like we as a community need to do a lot better when it comes to stuff like this, because if we just get everyone who gives a damn about what we want canceled, then the only people left are the people who don't give a damn. But this is my opinion piece, I guess you want to call it. I'm not an interviewer. I'm not a news journalist, per se. I'm a dude who likes Mortal Kombat. I'm a dude on the internet who's very passionate about what he likes. And, I like to support the people in the industry that are making the things that I like. And, I like to support the ones that you can tell that actually give a damn about what they're making. And Mr. Todd Garner is definitely one of those people. But, that's all I really have to say. Thank you again, Mr. Garner, for the interview, for the, your comments on this situation. Hopefully my opinion piece doesn't offend too many people. But obviously you can tell what Mr. Garner and the whole, Mortal Kombat movie crew are going for. They're making a movie as true to the source material as they can. They're making a movie for the fans, and I think we should really enjoy that. And to me, that's awesome. I'm gonna enjoy this movie. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this movie comes out April 16th on HBO Max. I'm not running ads on this video. I'm not getting paid for any of this. I wanted to set this story straight, and I wanted to do my opinion piece on it. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in a few hours, Twitter, when you try to cancel my ass. Thank you all for watching. I've been your host. My name is Tootin, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.